Howdy YouTube, and welcome to this episode of the Gunman. So today we're going to be doing a review and demonstration on the Flex XFE 15150. It's a battery powered orbital polisher. So Flex is a German brand for those of you who don't know. Fun fact, Flex was actually the company who invented the angle grinder back in the 50s. But that aside, let's just get into it and have a look at what we're going to get in the box. So the kit comes with 2 batteries for obvious reasons. Once you've drained one, you're going to need another backup. It also comes with a fast charger and obviously the orbital polisher itself. It also comes with a 150mm pad for it and then a backup 150mm pad, so that's always handy to have down the line. But as we're going to get into later, I've actually been having a few issues with this tool, to be honest, and I'm really struggling to get that perfect finish out of it. Really does pain me to say that because I know that it's a really well built tool. I just think that it's part of the way that it's built, to be honest. I just think these small orbital polishers just seem to leave me with this real hazed look over the paint, and I'll go further into detail on that later on, but we'll touch on some of the weights and then we'll go into the recharge and discharge rates at the start of the video here. So as you can see there, it's 1.9 kilograms, so you know, pretty nice, well weighted tool. Feels relatively sturdy, so not too light and flimsy, but also not too heavy. And then you've got around 750 grams for the battery. So it's well balanced as well when you are using it. It's not like you've got this really heavy back end where the battery is. I find it to be nice to use. And I do really like the battery powered version. So I was actually a little bit skeptical on getting the battery powered version. You can get this exact same tool with a corded version. It actually ends up being around the same price, which is a bit weird. You would have imagined that the corded version would have been a little bit cheaper because you don't have to pay for the batteries and the charger and all that, but as it turns out, no, that's not the case. And it does come with this fast charger here, so you've actually got a countdown timer on that fast charger. I've found that once I drain them completely, it's 45 minutes to recharge, and I've found the discharge rate to be pretty much the same. So 45 minutes to discharge one of the batteries at full noise. So yeah, you shouldn't find yourself stuck without any battery power. I'm sure you can tell that it is a really well built tool. Like it really does feel like a top quality tool. Like the triggers, the buttons, sort of everything about it, just the feel in the hand, the weight, it really does feel like a well built tool. That's why it does sort of pain me to say that I've been getting this sort of hazed off look with it when I'm finishing off my panels. And look, it's not something that just this tool does, don't get me wrong. I found that the old one that it was replacing did exactly the same thing. So my biggest gripe with the old one was that it was slow because it had like an 8mm orbit on it. Now originally when I wanted to upgrade from that, I wanted to go for the 21mm, but as it turns out, the 21mm are actually more rare. Like they're not actually the most common orbital polishers, and from what I can tell, the more common orbital polishers are actually this size, being the 15mm. So I thought, well, if they're the more common one, well then they must be common for a reason. They must be good. But after using this for a few months now, like I got this over the Christmas break, just before Christmas, that's right. And as of me recording this video, it's the 22nd of February. So I've had a good couple of months to use it and try different settings and different pads, different strengths. So like putting more pressure onto it, holding off a little bit, using higher speeds, lower speeds, all these different pads. And what I've found is that it's causing more troubles than my rotaries. So this job here, to be fair, this is ceramic clear. This is my own car here. I sprayed the roof black. I then staggered the clear coat line down to the next body line. So what you see me doing here is actually cutting that clear coat line flat so that we don't have a edge from the black to the red. So that's what I was doing here. And once I did that, I would usually go, so this is if I was at work, if I had my Roops LHR21, I would go from cut stage on the rotary buff straight up to the polishing stage on the Orbital, on the Roops Bigfoot, and I would be able to remove all those cutting scratches and more, if you know what I mean, with that Roops. However, I wasn't able to cut into it as much as I expected. Now, as I said before, I reckon part of that was because it was a ceramic clear, and I reckon the other part is because it's got that smaller orbit on it. So this is me, the first day I got back to work. Actually, you wouldn't read about it. The very first day I got back to work after my week and a half off, the boss came down and said, oh, you've got a cut and polish all over to do. Usually I'd be rolling my eyes and be like, oh no man, why me? Like, first day of the year. But I was like, oh sweet. Like, first, it's a Benz. I love my Benz. It was like an E350 Benz. And secondly, I get to put my new polishers to the test, and I say polishers plural because Spray Guns Direct did actually send 2 out. So they sent this Flex machine out, and then they also sent out this El Cheapo one here. Now this El Cheapo is actually also a 15mm orbit on it. So the reason I got that temp gun out is because it was roasting. Now to be fair, it was actually a hot day. It was probably around 30 degrees Celsius ambient temperature on that day, but I got that temp gun out and that thing is roasting up to 50 degrees. It's like starting to burn your hand type territory. Whereas the Flex actually ran for a longer amount of time and it was much cooler. Like, you wouldn't have even bothered getting the temp gun if you were just using that Flex. Now this is a bit of a look at the machine I was telling you guys about before. So this is the old Roops Bigfoot. This thing's, well, it must be over 7 years old because it's been at this workshop since I started, and that was around 2013. So it's been through the wars, as you can tell. Solidly built machine. They're actually made in Italy, the Roops. I believe they're still made in Italy. We actually had to get it sent away because the shaft was bent or something like that, but we did get it back in action, and this thing is a beast. You can just see the way that that pad is floating around. It's going a nice distance from the center of the machine, and it's also going around in circles. So for those of you guys who don't really know exactly the difference between this and a standard buff, so a rotary, it just rotates around in circles, whereas this thing, dual action, that's what they are called, DAs or orbital polishers. They've got the 2 actions to them. So the idea behind that is that you will cut across the swirl marks so that you're not going to be left with big round disc type marks in the final finish of your paintwork. Now these machines here are actually to blame for the explosion of the detailing game. So before these dual action polishers were out, detailing was barely even a thing, mate. Like, you didn't even hire a detailer at a workshop. You'd just hire a car cleaner. They'd empty the bins, they'd sweep the floors, and they'd scrub a couple of cars up when they need to be done. It was always a painter's job to perfect the paint. But these orbital polishers are so easy to use, you could literally train your grandma to use it, and there is just about no chance that she will cut through. You can get pretty good results with it. But as I was saying before, I've just found that the orbit on these things are just too tight, which is why I'm really surprised that the 15mm orbitals are so common in the industry. I really don't quite get it. I can even see here that it's got this slight hazing over the surface of this paintwork. Now it's one of those things that most people won't even be able to notice it. They won't quite see it. It looks pretty good, but to me, I like to see the color underneath in its true beauty. It's something that I was noticing on jobs like that red Mazda front end. I was also noticing it on this Prado bonnet here, but I didn't notice how bad it was until I did the black roof on my own little Corolla. So what we did on my Corolla was it actually had a little bit of orange peel in the roof from when I sprayed it. So we sanded it back flat with 1000, 3000, then 5000 grit and buffed it all up. And then for the final stage, I went and used my Flex polisher. And I could not for the life of me, slow, fast, more pressure, less pressure, different compounds, different pads. I could not get rid of that hazing. So I pretty much think I hit a brick wall with what I could get out of this machine. And it was really showing up on the darker color blacks. So what I ended up doing was going back to my rotary polisher, and there was some very minor swirl marks in it, but I had the black back. I did have the true color back. Here's another little pro tip from Neil from Exclusive FX. This is something that I actually didn't know, and if you looked at the very start of this video, I was actually stalling my machine, but now I know what to look for.
Yours, because we can use these as our indicators.
Yeah. So you can see they're spinning around, they're moving all over the place, but once you pull it up on that angle,
It's stalling.
that's stalled. So if anyone's watching this, whenever you see those gold bits there move like that, it's not doing anything. You want them to be moving around like you see here. And what Neil's done on this one here is he's actually put his own markers on there. So same thing. You can see when they're spinning around, that's doing what it should be doing, but as soon as you can start seeing them, that's stalled. Now that's a good little tip there, Neil, thanks. So here I am at home trying to get this clear to the best finish I can get. And I've done this section here, just with the rotary buff, with the black pad, and some Sonax Perfect finish, that's this one here. And that is the best result I was able to get out of all of them. So that's this back section here. And then this section here was the 8mm Orbital. So this is actually just a cheap little one I've had for a while. I've used that in a few other videos. And the only reason I got that out is because this thing here was like, this is my Flex. This is like the big dollar machine, which I've been pretty impressed with, but it's hazing the paint off. Like, look at that. It's given me a funky effect. It's probably one of those things that you only really notice on these darker colors, but I mean, I can see it even here in my view window. So it's like it's giving these sort of funky scratches in that orbital pattern, obviously, that it's going in. And it's also, because this is such a deep black, I can even see it here on the little view window. Like here, looks really nice and deep black, but that's with the rotary with the black pad. So there we are, there's the light. And this stuff like scratches. You get these minute scratches so quickly with these black colors. But then here, you can see straight away, that's with the orbitals, it hazes off and it's like it's turned gray. So have a look at the color, not even the scratches, even the color, you can see there it's a nice deep black. But then there, as soon as you hit with the orbital, it's hazed off and it's like gray and turned all milky. Have a look at that. But what I've found is that dual action, it's not really delivering me perfect results, and I want pretty close to perfection, you know. Yeah, like I'm looking at my little view window here, and it actually looks, there's more scratches in my view window than with the naked eye. So you guys are seeing absolutely everything here. And literally all these scratches that you can see here, that's just spider webbing. So literally every time you wipe over it like that, you are scratching it. But yeah, that's really prominent, those DA sanding scratches. And yeah, as I say, man, like I've gone and ripped this one back out, which is the El Cheapo, because that's an 8mm. So I thought, well, maybe 8mm Orbit, and this one here's the 15mm. So I thought maybe we'll go with the finer pad, which is the white pad, and a smaller Orbit. Hopefully would get rid of that effect that we were getting. However, no, we're getting the same thing with both of them. So unfortunately, that's where I'm at with this machine. I'm a bit let down with it, especially on my own car. I thought I'd be able to get it buffed up like glass, swirl free to a perfect or near perfect finish, but I just wasn't able to get it. And as I said before, the finish that you see here is off the rotary buff with the fine pad. And after talking to a few high-end painters that do high-end restoration work, they actually say a lot of the time they avoid using the dual action polishers for exactly that reason. Now I noticed I did get a similar thing with the Roops Bigfoot. However, it wasn't as prominent, so I really am let down to have to give this machine a slightly negative review. But I think a big part of it is that, look, I've been really bitten by the bug of getting that polishing done to perfection, getting the best that I can out of my compounds and buffs and polishes. And yeah, look, I'm actually sort of leaning away from dual action polishes altogether, and if I am to use one, I'm probably going to have to say that the Roops Bigfoot LHR21, I reckon that is the best in the game. The long throw, it just seems to leave you with less of a size orbital scratch or pigtail. And I mean this in all honesty, if you've got any tips that you think I'll be able to do to get rid of that hazing, please do tell me, because I want this tool to be good. Believe you me, I want this to get those flawless finishes, which I thought I was going to be able to get out of it. So if I'm using a wrong pad, if you think there's a combination of compound and pad that I'd be able to use to get rid of that, and I'm not talking about cheating by putting a wax over the top, I want to get it with polish and pad. So yeah, as I say, as much as I love the machine and the build quality, I'm just a little bit let down by the results that it's giving me. And personally, for my money, if I was you, I would recommend looking at the Roops Bigfoot LHR21 ES, and I would probably just get the first model. So there's like a Roops Bigfoot Mark II and Mark III. I don't think that the Mark II and Mark III offer that much extra. There's a couple of minor improvements on them, but for the price tag, they want an extra $300. But I just don't think that that's good value for money. Now you can get the Roops Bigfoot for like 650 Australian dollars, whereas this Flex machine goes for 850 to $1,000, so it's quite expensive. But if after watching this you think that you could do better than me, or you could have better results with this tool, be sure to go and check out the link in the description. That's from Spray Guns Direct. They were the ones that sent it out, and a big thanks to them. I'd like to say a big thanks to everyone for watching, and if you'd like to support the channel further, you're more than welcome to go over and check out some of the merchandise we've got. My personal favorite is those spray suits. So they're a good quality Colad branded spray suit with the Gunman logo on it. There's also hats, drink coolers, hoodies, and t-shirts. So be sure to go over and check out the link in the description if you are interested.